Welcome to the Neurophilosophy project. I'm Dr. Bison. I'm a board-certified neurologist, but nothing here is medical advice. Today I'm going to answer the hard question, consciousness. Or if you ask the question in more simple terms, what am I? Or what are you, actually? I'll give the short answer first, and then I'll explain in more detail. We know that your body is made of cells, about 37 trillion of them. But interestingly, you are not those cells. You are the solution your nervous system perform to a real engineering problem. How do you coordinate trillions of semi-independent units in a fast-changing, unpredictable world? The answer it arrived at was to build a simulation, a running representation of the world and of the agent moving through it. That agent, that simulation agent, that avatar is what you experience as yourself. That's you. And this was the short answer. Now for the long answer, if you go deeper into a cell, there are no cells anymore, right? Just molecules doing chemistry, proteins folding, membranes moving ions back and forth, enzymes catalyzing reactions, pure mechanisms. Nothing in there that looks like life, let alone like a person, like a human being. And yet the whole cell is one integrated system. Different regions specialized for different roles, constantly coordinating with each other. The nucleus managing genetic information, the mitochondria handling energy, the membrane regulating what comes in, what goes out. So one could argue that what makes a cell alive isn't the molecules themselves. They are constantly being replaced. What stays constant is the pattern, the organizational structure running across those molecules. In a very real sense, so I'm not talking with metaphors here, or I'm not trying to be poetic, but it seems to me that life is not a substance. It is a process, a self-maintaining informational pattern. Now, take that same idea and scale it up. You are not really a single organism. You are closer to an ecosystem, 37 trillion cells that have been organized into something that behaves as one. And what ties them together is another layer of organizational structure, now running across an entire body, coordinating everything so well that the result from the outside or from the inside looks like a single unified being with one perspective, one set of goals, one continuous experience of being alive. That being is you. Except you are not the cells. You are what emerges when the cells need to act as one. You are the construct they generate to make that possible. And I want to be precise about the word I choose, construct, because your nervous system was working on a hard problem, right? How do you take trillions of cells operating it in parallel and produce something that feels unified, coherent at least, and continuous? What emerged from that process was the simulation, an ongoing representation of the world outside. That avatar is what you experience. Your brain runs that avatar. It manages it, updates it, steers it, and it does most of this without your awareness. When there's a threat nearby, let's say, you don't receive a calculated assessment of danger probabilities, right? You just fear. And this works by, like, if the goal is protecting the integrity of the system, this works. And let's give another example. For example, when you are sexually attracted to someone, you don't get a readout of your hormone levels or a reproductive fitness calculation, right? You just get aroused. And that compressed signal works by helping reproducing the system. So if that is the goal, it works. So the avatar is being adjust it, and you experience that adjustment as feelings, as motivation, as desire. And the avatar, and that is the funny part, I think, the avatar doesn't need to understand any of this for it to work perfectly well. It never had. What is interesting though, and that is us versus animals, what is interesting that is that what happens when understanding starts to come in. As people mature, and I think this is true developmentally and also intellectually, feelings start to lose some of that involuntary grip. Not because you stop having them, but because they get translated into something more like information. You still feel fear, you still feel sexual attraction, but they stop commanding you in the same way. You notice them, you consider what they are responding to, you decide what to do with them, and you move on. Feelings are essentially compressed representations, fast, rough approximations that evolved long before we had the cognitive ability to reason carefully about our situation. And once again, they work. They have always worked, but they are coarse. And the more accurate your simulation of reality becomes, the less you need the compression. That is essentially what happens in successful psychotherapy in the clinic. Not the complete elimination of feelings, but the gradual conversion of automatic emotions into conscious information. The avatar becoming gradually more aware of the system running it. The construct getting better at understanding its own conditions. Whether it is possible to fully step outside those conditions, that I really don't know. But I know that you can't even start that process without first recognizing that you are an avatar. That what feels like direct, unmediated experience of being a person in a world is itself a simulation. It's a very good one, but still, it's a simulation. I'll keep this episode short. Thank you for being part of the Neurophilosophy project. Reflect on this and we'll go deeper next time.